Welcome to the Buck Brief. David Marcus back on the hot seat, the writer extraordinaire. You know him from FoxNews.com, the Daily Mail, so many places, so much wisdom, and he is wearing an Argentina jersey for those of you who are watching on the YouTube. So he is obviously rooting for them on Sunday. Speaking of rooting for someone, it's kind of a weak transition, but whatever. You, my friend, think what now happens given that Biden's press conference is being hailed by many as not terrible?
Right. I not terrible is probably fair. I don't think that the press conference changed much. I think it could have, right? If Debate Joe had shown up, then obviously there'd be more calls for him to be stepping down. Had he been more cogent, maybe there would be fewer. Clearly, what the White House would want to see is after the presser for some of those Democrats who had said Joe needs to step down to say, you know what, he looks better. Let's keep going. That's not what happened. Instead, a few more came out against him. So I think they're kind of just stuck in the same spot, and it's really bad. And I'm not going to get in your whole fight of is he going to be on the ticket or not, because I honestly have no idea, and I still think there's just purely medical shoes that could drop in the next 4 months, right? Um,
Yeah, of course.
but either way, whether he's in or he's out, the Democrats are in big trouble because this is just a massive disaster.
Yeah, I think that there's no way that any honest person can see what's gone on here and not feel like just the overall Democrat brand. There's so much of a focus on Joe Biden. He's so old. Yeah, the Democrats, and not just the political entity or apparatus, but all of their favorite media outlets went along with this. I mean, this is the children's fable of the emperor's new clothes made real. I mean, everybody should have known that Biden was a mess. Mentally wasn't there. He's too old. He has senility at some stage. And now we're supposed to pretend like this is a shock. I don't know, man. I don't think that anyone who's trying to be honest could see them and not realize how dishonest they are.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think there was a big giveaway in all of this. I have a column up about 2 days ago at Human Events where I argued that the Democrats really want to destroy the presidency and by extension, the United States of America as we know it, right? Because what we've learned from the fact that so many Democrats are just fine with a senile old man being a figurehead instead of a person who makes decisions is that they don't think the president should be in charge of the bureaucracy. They think the bureaucracy should be in charge of the president, right? You go back to, I thought Trump's most effective line in the debate, and I know nobody paid any attention to what anybody actually said because we were watching a car wreck, but remember when Trump said, you don't fire anybody, right? And he doesn't, right? The border's an objective disaster. Mayorkas is fine. Jake Sullivan said days before October 7th that the Middle East has never been quieter. He's still got his job. KGP is completely incapable. She's still got her job. So what the Democrats have said is it doesn't matter who the president is. We have this deep state. We have these wheels. It's a team. You're voting for a team. That's not the United States, Buck.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the future of politics in this country is at this point, considering it really does feel like we've gone from, oh my gosh, people who have been on reality TV shows. And that also, by the way, leaves out, Reagan was an actor. I mean, performance and politics are always very much, you can go back to the days of Seneca. Performance and politics have gone together for a very long time. But I do think that now in the media environment we're in, where everyone's carrying around devices and we're just inundated with content all the time, it just feels like warring media machinery that is determining politics. But we'll come back here in a second, and maybe David can tell us something about, whether the country is going to fix itself or not. I don't know. He sounds, there's a wisdom to him. He's much, David, how old are you?
I'll be 50 later this year.
Dude, you look great for 50, man. I honestly, I thought you were younger than me when we met. So I don't know. Maybe that means that.
No, that's why I'm optimistic, right? I have that like quirky, weird Gen X optimism.
Yeah. Gen X is a good generation. Look, I'm a firearms guy. I got a lot of guns here at home. I go to the range. I train. I try to get better with my skills all the time. And I didn't know about Bear Creek Arsenal until the last year. And let me tell you something. Bear Creek Arsenal is the best value gun manufacturer you're going to find anywhere, meaning best bang for your buck. You can get handguns, rifles, all kinds of calibers, all kinds of makes and models, and they make them themselves here in the U.S. in a factory in North Carolina that I've been to. Bear Creek Arsenal has premium calibers at a fraction of the price that you'd see for other gun manufacturers, and there's no middleman fees. They pass the savings right on to you. I love this gun company. They're great people. They're great Americans, and they're making amazing firearms. Go check them out for yourself. Go see what they have online. It's so easy. You just pick out what you want, get sent to your FFL. You go pick it up. You're good to go. Go to bearcreekarsenal.com. Use promo code BUCK for 10% off your first order. That's bearcreekarsenal.com. Promo code BUCK for 10% off your first order. You know what makes me thankful, or not thankful, that's the wrong word, hopeful for the future, is the New York Times and George Clooney and all these people wrote op-eds like they get to dictate politics even to their own side. And so far, at least, Biden and people have been like, I don't care. It's pretty. I think the Times is actually surprised.
I mean, to the extent that Biden's aware of anything, that's how he's been. I guess he has his good days and bad days, so it's hard to tell. I don't know, though. I think it's a little too soon to say that the pressure campaign hasn't worked because they still have a lot of pretty heavy cards in their deck. One thing that you haven't seen happen yet, well, actually, there was one Democrat House member yesterday who not only called for him not to be at the top of the ticket, but to step down as president, which is my position. My personal position is that it is blatantly obvious to me that this man cannot be president of the United States, and that even 20 years ago, the next day he would have been gone. This is insane to me that he's still there, and apparently will be there for 6 months, whether he wins or lose. So, I mean, my position is he should go. But if you start hearing, the New York Times hasn't said that yet, right? And that's a lot harder to walk back. They probably haven't had serious conversations about the 25th. And then you're saying, Joe, do you want to step out and save your legacy, or do you want to be a president who was kicked out of office because you lost your mind?
Well, this is also why I've been telling everybody. Now we're about to cross that place on the media, XY axis, where all criticism of Biden is actually just helping Trump from their own side, right? Every time. I think we may already now be in that zone. And that's not to say that the criticism won't be helpful to Trump, but at least you could argue there was a reason for the criticism because you thought you'd get a certain outcome. Now that outcome is looking unlikely, the more you pile on criticism of Biden's state. I mean, I've been saying this. If Biden stays in, a lot of the Trump money he's got a huge war chest for the campaign. He's going to be able to flood the zone in the swing states with Biden's own people saying this guy can't be president. No one will have ever seen anything like it before.
No. Well, think about that, right? I mean, the New York Times can probably find some sneaky way to walk back their not one, but two editorials calling on Joe Biden not to run and say, well, I know we said he shouldn't run, but we're going to endorse him anyway because Trump, Hitler, blah, 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 right? But you're absolutely right. This is all happening before Republicans have really started opening fire on this issue. Because Republicans don't want him to drop out. So, I mean, Republicans have been like just sort of sitting on the sidelines, right? The moment he's locked in, you just hit the nail right on the head. It is going to be ad after ad after ad of Biden's buddies saying he's not fit for office. I have to imagine that that's pretty effective.
I would think so. I mean, I think that is likely to be the case. Why can't we have a men's soccer team that isn't garbage? I'm just wondering. You're wearing a soccer jersey. That's why I'm asking the question.
I have a theory about this, actually. I've thought about this, and I've spoken to some people who know the U.S. men's team situation a lot better than I do. And I think what you've got is a sort of like old boys club. Like, as long as I've been watching American soccer, there's like all of these players are somehow like more or less from like upper middle class backgrounds. They all go to the same camps. It's all the same coaches. It's all this sort of like UVA and all the same places. And whereas the NBA and the NFL and even like hockey in Canada, they're out there looking for the next Leo Messi. And you're probably not going to find the next Leo Messi at prep school, right? I mean, Argentina and Barcelona certainly didn't. I think we're doing an incredibly poor job of going out and finding the talent that exists in our own country, although we're getting better. I also think that the players who go play in Europe come back with kind of an attitude of like, the U.S. team as an afterthought, which is the complete opposite of how a British player or Argentinian player or Brazilian player would look at it.
Come back here, and David will give you some thoughts for the weekend, some wisdom, courtesy of our friend David Marcus. But first up, from our sponsor, IFCJ. You know, it's hard for us in America to imagine what everyday life is like in Israel right now because everything changed on October 7th when their citizens were attacked by Hamas terrorists. There is still a near constant barrage of missiles, and it's one form of hostilities after another directed at the Jewish people. That's why I've partnered with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, the IFCJ. This is an organization dedicated to showing Israeli citizens they are not alone. We want them to know that there are people worldwide who care for their safety. Christians like you support Israel through the IFCJ. It's this support that helps citizens of Israel remain steadfast and strong. Visit them online to please consider donating to help support this worthy cause. IFCJ.org is the website. That's IFCJ.org. All right, since it's Friday, it's the weekend. David, a book, a show, or a movie that you want to share with everybody for their weekend enjoyment?
So I had read these years ago, and I finally got back to them. There's a mystery series written by an author named Ellis Peters called Cadfael. It was a BBC TV show as well. You can also watch the TV show. Derek Jacobi plays him. It's excellent, and it takes place in England in, I guess, the 12th century, right after the Crusades, or sort of during the Crusades. And Cadfael is a monk who had been a crusader, and so he's come back from the Crusades. And he lives in this little town, Shrewsbury, and somehow in Shrewsbury, there's murders all the time, and he goes and solves them because, like, he's learned forensics and he's learned medicine and like brought this stuff back from the Middle East. Really well written, really good historical fiction. I read historically a lot about the Crusades period as well, and it's very accurate. They're a blast. I think there's like 19 of them. They're a lot of fun.
All righty, David Marcus.
Yeah.
Good luck to your Argentina soccer team on Sunday in the Copa, whatever it is, Americano or
Viva
something.
Albi Celeste.
There you go. All right, my friend. Talk to you soon. See you, everybody.